Daf Yomi, Tractate Menachot, 86b, top of the page, starting the Talmud section. We just finished the Mishnah on the previous Amud, and the top of 86b starts the Gemara with the words Shavin. Shavin, the Gemara asks, how can the Mishnah state that the second grade of the first harvest and the first grade of the second harvest are equal quality? Are they equal? Shavin, are they equal? But didn't you say that the first grade of each harvest is fit for kindling the candelabrum, and the rest are fit only for use in meal offerings? It would appear then that the first grade in any harvest is actually superior to the second grade of other harvests. To resolve this, Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak said, what does the Mishnah mean when it states that they are of equal quality? It means that they are equal with regard to meal offerings, and there is no reason to choose one over the other. Katush. The Mishnah teaches also, with regard to all the meal offerings, it was logical that they should require refined olive oil to dispel this notion. The verse states, refined pounded olive oil for illumination, Leviticus 24:2. The sages taught in a Braita, with regard to the verse cited in the Mishnah, the word refined means nothing other than clean oil, which flows by itself from the olives without applying any pressure. Rabbi Yehuda says that the word pounded means nothing other than olives crushed with a mortar, but not with a millstone. Talmud Loma Veisav and Soiles Belu Beshem Kosis Imkin Ma Talmud Lo Imar Limoil El Mipneha Chisachoim. One might have thought that refined, pounded oil is unfit for meal offerings, since the verse specifies that this oil is to be used for illumination. To dispel this notion, the verse states, with regard to the meal offering brought with the daily offering, and a tenth of fine flour, thoroughly mixed with a quarter of a hin of pounded oil. Exodus 29:40. This indicates that pounded oil is fit to be used in meal offerings. If so, what is the meaning when the verse states that the refined pounded oil is for illumination? Rather, the Torah requires the use of refined pounded oil only for the candelabrum due to the sparing of money, as the highest quality oil is very expensive. My chisachon, Amar Rabbi Elazar, haTorah chasan moedim shel Yisrael. The Gemara asks, what is the reason for being sparing? Rabbi Elazar says the intention is that the Torah spared the money of the Jewish people and did not require that the highest quality oil be used for the meal offerings. Savis b'nei Yisrael v'yikol elecha shemen zayzoch. Amar Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmani elecha v'lo li. Lo leora ani tzarich. The Gemara discusses the candelabrum, the menorah, and other aspects of the temple. The verse states, command the children of Israel, and they shall take for yourself refined, pounded olive oil for illumination, to kindle the lamps continually. Leviticus 24, verse 2. Rabbi Shmuel Bar Nachmani says, God tells the Jewish people that the oil should be taken for yourself, to indicate that it is for their benefit and not for my benefit, as I do not need its light. Shulchan betzafon u'menoach b'darom. Omer Rabbi Zriko, Omer Rabbi Elazar, lo elachila ani tzarich, v'lo eloera ani tzarich. Similarly, with regard to the table of the showbread, located in the north of the sanctuary, and the candelabrum, located in the south of the sanctuary. Rabbi Zrika says that Rabbi Elazar says, God said to the Jewish people, I do not require the table for eating, nor do I require the candelabrum for its illumination. In evidence of this, the candelabrum was not positioned close to the table, as is done by one who sets a table with food in order to eat there. Vayas lebayis chaloinei shikufim atumim tano shikufim mivnim v'atumim mibachutz lo eloera nitzoich. With regard to the temple built by King Solomon, the verse states, and he made for the house windows narrow and broad. 1 Kings 6 verse 4. The sages taught in Braita, typically windows are constructed to widen toward the inside in order that light from the outside would be dispersed throughout the room. For the temple, God said, make the windows narrow within and broad without, as I do not require its illumination. On the contrary, the light of the temple is to be radiated outward. God instructed Aaron to kindle the candelabrum outside the curtain of the testimony in the tent of meeting. Leviticus 24 verse 3. The dividing curtain is referred to here as the curtain of the testimony, to indicate that the illumination of the candelabrum is testimony to all of humanity that the divine presence rests among the Jewish people. And if you question this and say, how is this testimony? Perhaps the candelabrum is lit for illumination. To this God would respond, do I need its light? But isn't it so that for all 40 years that the Jewish people walked in the wilderness of Sinai until they entered Eretz Israel, they walked exclusively by its light? Meaning from the pillar of the fire that guided them at night. If God provides light for others, he certainly does not need it himself. Rather, evidently, the illumination of the candelabrum is testimony to all of humanity that the divine presence rests among the Jewish people. My edusa amarobe zenamarobi shinoistim voshemen keneged chavoiseho minmenoya malik uba haya misayim. What provides its testimony? Rava says the testimony is provided by the westernmost lamp of the candelabrum, in which they place a quantity of oil equivalent to that placed in the other lamps, and nevertheless it continues to burn longer than any of the other lamps. It burns so long that every evening from it the priest would kindle the candelabrum, meaning he lit that westernmost lamp first, and the following morning with it he would conclude the preparation of the lamps for the following evening's lighting, because it remained alight longer than any of the other lamps. This perpetual miracle was testimony to God's continuous presence among his people. Now we're starting the new Mishnah Mein hayom avinus hayayin, kod hachaim v'atulaim, alfa layayin, shni elahen, beis rimo beis loron beho, וכבר סיגנה בבקעה. כל הארצות היו כשרות, אלא מכאן היו מביאים. From where would they bring the wine for libations? Keduchim and Atulin are the primary sources for wine. Secondary to them is Beit Rima and Beit Lavan, located in the mountain, and the village of Signa, located in the valley. All the regions were valid sources for wine, but it was from here, meaning the aforementioned locations, that they would bring the wine. Ein mevi'en lo mibeis hazavolim, velo mibeis hashlochim, velo mima shenizra b'nehem. ממה שנזרע שביניהן ואם הביא כאשר הם מביאים על איסטיון אם הביא כאשר הם מביאים ישון דברי רבי וכל מכשירן הם מביאים לא מתוק ולא מבושל ולא מבושל ואם הביא פסו ואין מביאים מן Dalios, Elemena Raglios, Umin Akromim Avulim. One may not bring libations of wine that come from a fertilized vineyard, or from an irrigated vineyard, or from a vineyard in which grain was sown between the vines. But if one did bring a libation from such wine, it is valid. One may not bring libations from sweet wine made from sun-dried grapes. But if one did bring a libation from such wine, it is valid. One may not bring wine aged for 1 year. This is the statement of Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi. But the rabbis deem it valid. One may not bring libations from sweet wine nor wine produced from smoked grapes. Smoked grapes? Who smokes grapes? Smoked grapes nor libations from boiled wine. And if one did bring a libation for such wine, it is not valid. And one may not bring wine produced from grapes suspended on stakes or trees. Rather, one brings it from grapes at foot height, meaning the rest on the ground, which are superior quality grapes, and from vineyards that are cultivated, meaning where one hoes beneath the vines twice a year. Velo consinos sobechatzobin gedoilim elabchavis katanios el mimalem as a chavis ad pio kadesh yehe rechainoitiv. And when producing wine for libations, one should not collect the wine into large barrels, as it causes the wine to spoil. Rather, it should be placed into small casks. And one does not fill up the cask until its mouth. Rather, one leaves some empty space so that its fragrance will collect there and diffuse when the lid is opened. Un momento. Good. And, what are we holding here? Where were we? Okay, we'll read that line again. And one does not fill up the cask until its mouth. Rather, one leaves some empty space so that its fragrance will collect there and diffuse when the lid is opened. One should not bring libations from wine that rests at the mouth of the cask due to be continued.